clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a couple of thunderstorms, high 85 to 90. Sunday, partly sunny with a couple of showers into thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Steve Travis.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Diamonds in the sunset, now your time has come.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. I hope you're doing well. Robin, there was a song on a John Lennon album years and years ago, and the title is such a title that I don't want to read the title on the air. But John Lennon was a guy who liked to do things for shock value to try to make a point. And I wanted to read you some of the words from the song, and I'll tell you the title in abbreviated form later, because it might spoil the impact of what he actually says in the song. What he wrote was, "We make her paint her face and dance. If she won't be slave, we say that she don't love us. If she's real, we say she's trying to be a man. While putting her down, we pretend that she is above us. If you don't believe me, take a look at the one you're with. Woman is the slave of the slave. We make her bear and raise our children, and then we leave her flat for being fat old mother hen. We tell her home is the only place she would be. Then we complain that she's too unworldly to be our friend." And he goes on and on. "We insult her every day on TV," he says, "and wonder why she has no guts or confidence when she's young. We kill her will to be free. While telling her not to be so smart, we put her down for being so dumb." He is expressing the frustrations that anybody who's ever, well, if you're a woman, I guess, right there, and the rest of us, the male half of this human population, if you've had a mother that you love, a sister that you love, a daughter that you love.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've seen women as people and not just as Hugh Hefner's idea of what that your half of the population should be. Mm-hmm. We have a lady on the phone who's making a great contribution to this effort. Her name is Laura Riley. She is a retired clinical psychologist, a psychotherapist, a lecturer, a teacher. She helps battered women become achieving women. And she's written a book. It's called Tell Me of Brave Women. And in the book, from what I understand, I did not get a copy of the book, but she depicts the lives of some women from different parts of the world. And as bad as it is here, it's even worse in other places.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not even correct, because obviously we hear these horror stories. There was one in Gainesville. Remember that guy? Just last week.
Exactly.
And a certified public accountant making good money, 52, 53 years old.
Yeah.
Holding 3 women captive as sex slaves.
Yeah. Awful. Horrible.
Keeping them drugged up, etc. The roles women play in today's society, we would think in the year 2014, we wouldn't be even having this discussion. Not about women, not about black people, not about anybody. Mm-hmm. Especially not here in America. But we do need to have this conversation because we're not fixed. This problem hasn't been fixed yet.
No.
Laura Riley. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Larry.
How are you?
Oh, fine. Now I'm depressed after hearing that.
Oh, man. I didn't mean to depress you. Where are you?
The sunny western coast of the United States in San Diego.
But that didn't really depress you, did it?
Well, yes. I mean, it's so true.
Okay.
I mean, it's so true. And he died a long time ago, and it's still true.
It's still true, yeah. Were you familiar with that song already?
No.
No. Well, I'll tell you the title.
Well, I probably heard it and didn't know it.
No, they don't play it on the radio. The title of it is "Woman is the N-word of the world," but he says the N-word, okay? So that's why you never heard it on radio. But anyway, so how are you doing? And tell me about the book. The book has what? How many women do you profile?
Well, because I didn't want it to look like abuse was just in Middle East or something. One is in South America. One is a Middle Easterner who lives in London, and one is a no-nonsense Appalachian bartender.
Oh, wow. How did you find them? How did you find the three women?
Well, I saw a spot on CNN where a woman in an Afghan shelter, and there aren't many shelters in Afghanistan, was saying that when her husband went out, he hung her by her hair from a nail in the wall. And that just got to me somehow. And I was retired.
Of course.
I know. I was retired. I thought, I want to do something. I want to do something to kind of do my little bit to bring it more to awareness so the women could unite. So I decided to write a book. I thought, well, I used to be a good writer when I was a girl, and I'll write a novel. Well, that's about as bubble-headed as saying, oh, people clapped at my 8th grade music recital, so I'll write a symphony. It's very hard. It took 6 years to write.
I love that.
I don't, what's wrong? I mean, you might have been good at 8th grade symphony.
Yeah, well, probably for 8th grade I wasn't that bad. But a novel isn't. So after 7 editors and 6 years and learning how to write, I think it turned out pretty good.
The one thing I wanted to ask you about when you were looking into this, in America, we have laws against some of these things. But in some other countries, they don't even have laws against them. That boggles my mind. That at least officially, we oppose human trafficking and we oppose sex slaves. At least officially, we do.
Well, you need to go another step. It's not just that in other countries they don't give consequences. In other countries, it's encouraged. It's encouraged.
Wow.
That you're supposed to keep your wife in line. And beating a wife sometimes is a sign of love, and women know that.
But where's the father? See, where's the people who really love her as a human being? Where's that guy?
There's none of those. You're not taught that from when you're a little boy. You're not taught that from when you're a little boy. Women are dumber. It takes if you want to have a witness, you have to have 2 women to say something to one man, because women are thought to be not very bright. You can hit your wife. There's no such thing as marital rape or marital beating in a lot of those countries, because you have a right to do that. There's a horrible thing in that the man is so supreme in a Muslim household that the prophet was asked one time, what a woman's duty was to her husband. And he said, if your husband is covered from head to toe in pus and you lick it off, you still have not shown enough gratitude to him.
Oh, how disgusting.
But now, when you say Muslim, let's clarify this, because I know some Muslim people here, and I think the wife is the one that's the head of the household. So American Muslim women must have it different than their counterparts in the traditionally Muslim countries, right?
Well, obviously, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Hopefully.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. And so, do you think that the modern communications that we have, like Facebook and things like this, do you think the young people are starting to open their eyes because they can see what it's like and what it should be like? What John Lennon was trying to do with the young people when he was popular, he couldn't reach as many people, as he reached. But he couldn't reach as many as they can reach now with a little Facebook post.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. No, I think the openness of anything, right? But what abusers do is they keep the woman isolated. They move around a lot. They don't let her have women friends. She can't talk to people. She's, ground into the ground all the time, told how horrible she is, and, that he's doing her a favor by supporting her. So that isolation isn't that easy when you can go on and you can see a chat room with other women that are exactly where you are and trying to get out of it.
Do we justify it with religion? I mean, you brought up Islam. Or how do you refer to the religion? As Muslim, Islam? But do we have places or areas that justify, like in the Appalachians? Did they justify it with Christianity or with Judaism or with something else?
Oh, sure. You can always make a religion that downplays. The trouble, we have been thought of in the Western culture a lot, that women were just seductresses, and they just kept men off of the straight and narrow, right? That's why the monks and everybody, right? Women are the temptress, right? They keep you on earthly concerns instead of up in heaven. So that's a big problem. Well, in the Muslim countries, they're considered to be extremely lustful. Women, if you let them out of your sight, they will just go have intercourse with anybody that wants.
Wish I could find those ones.
But also they made a little rule. So women have to stay in the house, and if you go out of the house, you are saying you're a prostitute, so any man can rape you. So in Egypt now, they're finding when they have those demonstrations that a lot of women get raped because by being out on the street, some men think that they're asking for it. So you can make a system that makes it impossible to get out of.
Wow.
And it really seems it's hard for people to intervene. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we had that story here. Larry had that story about the woman over there, and that she was pregnant. She had her baby, and then they were going to hang her because she wouldn't
because she was
denounce,
Christian in her case.
right, and she wouldn't say Christianity was bad and go to the other faith. But in the meantime, nobody's doing anything to help her. I don't see anybody from the U.S. government, taking care of her. So why do people turn a blind eye to this and not help?
Because they're raised that it's okay. Why did some woman get raped in Times Square and people just stood around and
Exactly.
But
When?
Here it's wrong.
When did they do that? I mean, I'm sure it happens, but was this recent? A recent story?
No, it wasn't recent. It's one of the cases that we used to use in psychology for social inhibition. That when you're alone, you're more likely to do something than if you're in a crowd. Mm-hmm. If you're in a crowd and you see something and nobody else does something, there's kind of like a social thing, like, am I going to be the one? What's wrong? Maybe there's a rule I don't know. Whereas if you came out alone and you saw that, you would be more likely to yell or scream or do something anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this all levels out one day.
Pardon me, but here it's not in the culture. In other places, it's in the culture. That's the bad part.
Yeah, and in other places, let's see, I would imagine, I mean, we have our share of problems, there's no question about it, but we have our level of inequalities, I guess, in many different parts of our culture. But again, socially and legally, we don't allow it, we don't encourage it, but it does happen, right?
And now we're looking for equality. Since the civil rights movement, everyone wants to be more equal.
Yeah. Laura Riley is our guest. Tell me about the, let's talk further about the book. We talked about it a little bit. The book is called Tell Me of Brave Women. So the book depicts the lives of 3 women, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the Appalachian woman. I want to hear about her.
Selma. Selma's a kick. Because she doesn't believe in weak women, right? She was raised with 4 brothers. She, is a strong woman. She doesn't put up with anything, and then she witnesses an abuse, and befriends the abused girl and the abused woman, and then that begins her on a different attitude about what she's going to do about some of these inequalities. And so she starts with an American reaction of action. She's going to do something. So each of the 3 women do something different to fight abuse. But the main message is that women need to unite themselves, and you can't be helping the bad people against women.
So what do you do? I mean, I'm trying to figure what to do. I'm thinking about what you said about the monks. I'm thinking about what you said about how we have made you women as the seductresses and somehow, you're the temptation, right? We do this. When we tell women to cover up or don't wear something sexy in the streets. That's really the guy's problem. I mean, right? That's our hard wiring. We're hardwired, first of all. But we don't have to look. I'm hardwired to eat too, but I'm not going to grab a sandwich unless I pay for it. I mean, you learn certain rules about things in this world,
right? And they're taught to you from when you're little, right?
Do you think, though, that there's less of that abuse going on now? I mean, even in the workplace, because I know years and years ago, women had that thing that they weren't paid, the same as men doing the same job and all that. But I think it has improved, and there are women out there today that are doing the same job, making the same pay. They seem to be on the level playing field. But do you think this abuse is still happening in the workplace?
Oh, well, I think you probably know too. It's just much better than when we were young. Everybody was trying to pick up on you at the office. You were sure to get pinched in an elevator. You know what I mean? There was a lot of
That's still happening. I think we don't see it because we're older.
Oh, we're talking about less. We're talking about less, right?
Okay.
And I don't think women will put up with it now. Because the more educated a woman is, the less she'll put up with gender baloney.
So that's America. That's America we're talking about there, right?
We're only talking about America.
Or Canada and America, right?
Yeah.
They say,
in Europe too. I mean, there's a lot of, and better Scandinavia. Scandinavia is really much more equal.
Really?
Well, when women realize that they really are in this kind of relationship because of the browbeating and their emotional distress that they're in, that maybe this should be happening, when they finally are thinking to themselves and they feel that this is not right, how do they get the courage to leave the situation or try to find somebody to confide in without having repercussions from the person she's trying to leave or make the situation better?
Right. Well, that's the big problem. And the main problem, like when a person comes to therapy that's in an abusive relationship, we always say, see, America is different than other countries because now, since the birth control pill, a woman doesn't have 9 kids or 7 kids that she can't leave the man, and no job skills. A lot of the older women had to stay in those situations because of their children, right? So now that isn't a problem anymore. So a woman really has the opportunity to leave in the United States. There are shelters she can go to. So the question we always ask is, what are you getting out of the relationship that you stay in it?
Do you think, and now this is going to, I don't know, rub you the wrong way, but do you think that the old-fashioned, and what I mean old-fashioned, like maybe the 50s or so, do you think the idea of the nuclear family where the father works and he's a loving husband and he would never think of cheating on his wife, he would never think of hitting her, but he works, he comes home and protects and provides while she nurtures the kids and raises the kids? If that was the perfect world, the Leave It to Beaver world, where the husband, he loves his wife, he's not going to hurt her, he's not going to let anybody else hurt her. I mean, if we could, do you think that would be the answer? Because you have to have somebody raising the kids.
Well, nowadays, 1 in 4 kids is raised by a single mother, right? The family's kind of fallen apart. It might be nice,
right.
but I certainly thought it was nice in those days, right?
Yeah.
I never thought that a woman should go to college. I thought it was perfectly okay to stay home, raise my kids, have a husband, be happy. I never thought of my potential. I never thought of anything like that. I went back to school when the kids all got in school. But now things have changed. Times are hard. It takes 2 salaries to even put bread on the table. And now women can do the jobs. In the old days, they couldn't plow a field as well as a man. The division of labor was necessary, right? The men worked in the field or in the coal mine or whatever all day, and the woman took care of the children, a lot of children, fed them. Everybody had a job from morning till night.
Right.
Now we don't have to do that.
I used a song to open up this segment. I'm going to quote another song, the Janis Ian song, where she says, I learned the truth at 17, that love was meant for beauty queens and high school girls with clear skin smiles that married young and then retired. Do you think that pretty women are discriminated against actually more than homely women? And I know that's a horrible thing to say that anybody's homely, but the truth is, do you think that young pretty gets more discrimination than older, less attractive?
Unfortunately. Unfortunately for us, ugly ones. No, unfortunately.
I'm with you.
You're not ugly. Please.
That's what I like. A man that says that even though he can't see, he can't see the other woman.
Well, I was talking to Robin.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, I don't see you.
You talk about secret sisters. How does anybody
Wait,
get?
just a second. Can I
Oh,
just
sorry.
finish that
Sure,
one
I'm
thing?
sorry.
Is that all the studies show that the better looking you are, male or female, everything goes better for you in society, better job.
That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's why it goes downhill the older I get.
yeah, but not as fast as it does for women, Larry. Not as fast.
Yeah, men get more dashing looking as they get older.
That's not true. This is what they say.
Women get more dash.
Come on. On Throwback Thursday on Facebook, everybody looks better. All right, Laura, we've had such a great conversation, but the clock is almost running out. I feel like we've only hardly touched on the book itself. Let's be fair to the book. It's called Tell Me of Brave Women. And in just give maybe like a thumbnail sketch of the book.
Well, the South American woman starts the book out. She's 18, and she gets captured by a drug lord and made into a sex slave. So the arc of her thing is how she gets out of that and what she does and how she... So that's one. And then she's woven together with Selma. And then she's woven together with Samara, who is a Middle Eastern woman, but she's now in London. And she can't read very well because she was never taught to read. But she has a fantastic memory for stories. So she's famous because she tells stories. And whenever she can hear a story, she can repeat it. So... and that's why it's called Tell Me of Brave Women, like tell me a story.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
wow.
But it addresses all these issues that we're talking about, all of them. You know, honor killings and all these things.
And do you have a website for the book or a website for you?
Yes, tellmeofbravewomen.com for
Okay.
the book. And it has and you can read, you know, some of the book on Amazon, and you can read some of the book, and you'll be introduced to all three of the women on my website. You can read some of the book, and also I have a lot of blogs about the things we've just been talking about. So that might be interesting if people are interested in this kind of stuff.
And since you have the blogs, can people contribute to that? To
Well, and they can
write
email
you?
me.
Uh-huh.
They could email me at Laura, because I'm not that good with these kind of things very well. So, but if you just want to talk to me or write me about something that you'd be interested in, it's Laura at tellmeofbravewomen.com.
Oh, that makes it
Okay.
easy. Okay. Laura at tellmeofbravewomen.com. And that, of course, is the website also for the book and the free chapters. And, well, we've had a wonderful conversation. I really hope it contributes
very-
to the goal of having this no longer something to talk about. It's hopefully one day it's something that was the past. I mean, nobody can believe it ever happened. But
Right. Oh, I hope so. I mean, you just hope to move it one little millimeter. You know, if you can just get women to realize they can't vote against the equal pay law. When women vote against women, it drives me nuts.
yeah,
Right,
that makes
exactly.
sense. Yeah, and you know what else too? I say this all the time. I don't know what I can do to change the world, but I can change my world. And anybody can say that, and you can say, you know what? The women in my world, the people in my world, whether men or women, children, older, whatever, anybody in my world that is discriminated against in the world will never be discriminated in my world as long as they're in my world.
Yeah.
My little protective
Excellent.
world.
You just made a point that I wanted to make at the beginning, which was that the reason I think that the women's movement is going so well now is because not only because women are driving for it, but also because the men of today were raised by feminists. A lot of the men of today were raised by feminists who taught them to empathize with women and to want equal rights for women. So they're on the side of women now.
And can
So
I
there-
point out? Can I
there's
point
many,
out
many.
two things? I want to point out first thing that you're right, that I was raised
good.
by a feminist. I really was, and you know,
Good.
I was raised by two of them. My father.
Lovely.
My father and my mother both recognized the importance of being fair to everybody. And if that's what a feminist is, then I was raised by two of them.
That's what it is. Yep.
It certainly has. A feminist is not just a woman. Laura, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being on the air with us today.
Oh, thank you, Larry and Robin. Thank you very much.
It would have been nice to have more time, but I guess we're done. Go to the website, tellmeofbravewomen.com, and get the book, Tell Me of Brave Women. Laura Riley, thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me, Larry. Bye.
All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The family of Sergeant Bo Bergdahl says they're overjoyed their son's return to the U.S.
Bergdahl spent 5 years as a captive of Taliban forces in Afghanistan and was traded for 5 Gitmo detainees in a controversial move by the White House. The Army says they'll continue looking into accusations that Bergdahl deserted his post.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown on the streets of Rio de Janeiro. Clashes there and in other Brazilian cities between protesters and police as the World Cup gets underway. Demonstrators furious about the $11.5 billion price tag to host the soccer tournament. And the Grammy Awards making some changes, one of the biggest.
The Grammys will now be allowing samples to be used on songs nominated in all categories, including Song of the Year. Previously, they had only been allowed in the Best Rap Song category.
Fox Radio's Michelle Polino. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Welcome to summer, the official season of outdoor projects. It's